It was a chilly night in downtown Los Angeles. The lights of the city shimmered against the misty air, and in the heart of it all, thousands of people lined up outside a massive auditorium. The world's biggest talent show was holding its auditions, and inside that hall, dreams were about to be made or broken. Among the crowd stood a boy named Eli Thompson, clutching an old beaten guitar. His shoes were torn, and the sleeves of his faded hoodie were too short for his growing arms. At just 14 years old, Eli looked like a lost soul in a world too big for him. He kept his eyes on the ground, whispering something softly under his breath, a prayer, maybe. A security guard glanced at him, then at the long line. "Hey, kid, you sure you were in the right place?" Eli nodded shyly. "Yes, sir. I'm here to sing." The guard frowned, then smiled faintly. "Well, good luck, kid. Hope you blow back away." Eli smiled back, but his eyes carried a heaviness that told a deeper story. Eli had grown up in a small town in Arizona. His mother, Claire, was a waitress, and his father, well, his father had left years ago, chasing a dream of being a musician in California. He never came back. The last thing he ever gave Eli was that same guitar, scratched and scarred, but still holding the echoes of every song it had ever played. Eli's mother worked double shifts to make ends meet, and most nights, the boy would sit outside their small trailer, strumming the guitar under the stars. Music became his only friend, but life had other plans. One winter, Claire fell gravely ill. Eli remembered her trying to hide her cough, pretending she was fine, but soon she couldn't get out of bed. Hospital bills piled up. Eli sold almost everything they owned except the guitar. When the doctors said they couldn't do more without expensive treatment, Eli made the hardest choice of his life. He left home. He took a bus to Los Angeles, with only $42 in his pocket and his father's guitar slung across his shoulder. He wanted to make enough money to help his mom. Weeks passed. Eli slept on park benches, and sang on street corners, playing for strangers who dropped coins into his open guitar case. Most days he barely made enough for food, but he kept singing because it was all he knew how to do. One evening, while he was singing Hotel California outside a coffee shop, a man in a black jacket stopped. He was a producer for the talent show, scouting for unique voices. He listened, then asked, "Kid, where did you learn to sing like that?" Eli smiled shyly. "From my dad. He used to play this song all the time before he left." The producer was stunned by the boy's tone, haunting, soulful, raw. He handed him a card. "Come audition tomorrow. Tell them Mark sent you." The next day, Eli stood backstage, trembling. Around him were confident singers, dancers, and magicians, all laughing and chatting. He felt out of place, alone, underdressed, underfed, and overwhelmed. When his name was called next, "We have Eli Thompson," the boy stepped onto the massive stage. The audience murmured, "He looks so small, so fragile under the blinding lights." A judge leaned forward. "Hello, young man. What will you be performing for us tonight?" Eli cleared his throat. "I'll be singing Hotel California by the Eagles." A judge chuckled softly. "That's a big song for someone your age." Eli nodded, clutching his guitar tighter. "It was my dad's favorite." The music began, just a soft guitar intro, and Eli's fingers trembled on the strings. The first notes were hesitant, but then his voice filled the hall, gentle, smoky, and heartbreakingly beautiful. On the dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. As he sang, the world seemed to melt away. His eyes closed, and every word carried a piece of his soul. His father's absence, his mother's struggle, his lonely nights under the stars. The judges leaned forward, spellbound. The audience grew silent, not wanting to miss a single note. The second verse came, and something changed. The boy's voice soared, raw emotion breaking through every line. "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave." When he hit that final note, his voice cracked, not from weakness, but from pure feeling. Tears welled in his eyes as the echo lingered in the hall. For a moment, there was complete silence, then an explosion of applause. The crowd rose to their feet, cheering wildly. One of the judges covered her mouth, visibly crying. Simon, the toughest judge of all, stood slowly. "Eli, that wasn't just a song. That was a story. And I think your dad would be very proud." Eli's lip trembled. "I hope so, sir. I haven't seen him since I was 5. I just wanted to sing like him." Simon looked around. The audience had tears in their eyes. Then, without hesitation, he slammed his hand down on the golden buzzer. The golden confetti burst from above, swirling around Eli like rain made of sunlight. He stood frozen, overwhelmed, tears streaming down his cheeks as the crowd chanted his name, "Eli! Eli! Eli!" Backstage, producers rushed to him, congratulating him, but Eli only asked one thing. "Can I call my mom?" He was handed a phone. His hands shook as he dialed. "Mom. Mom, I did it. I got the golden buzzer. On the other end, he could hear her crying softly. "Oh, baby, I knew you would. Your dad would be so proud." But then she whispered something that broke him. "I love you so much, Eli. Always remember that." The line went quiet. 2 days later, Eli received the call that his mother had passed peacefully in her sleep. He sat alone in his small hotel room, holding his guitar, unable to move. The world that had just opened up for him suddenly felt empty. But then he remembered her words, and the promise he made to himself that he would sing for both of them. Weeks later, when the live shows began, Eli returned to that same stage. The world already knew his name. Millions had watched his golden buzzer moment online. Before he sang, he said softly into the microphone, "This one's for my mom and for anyone who's ever lost someone they love." He began to play again, this time, an original song called Home in the Stars. His voice cracked with grief and strength, and by the end, even the judges were crying again. After the performance, the crowd chanted his name once more. But this time, he wasn't the scared boy from the streets. He was an artist, a soul reborn through kindness, pain, and music. Eli didn't just win hearts that night. He reminded the world that no dream is too far, no pain too deep, and no love ever truly dies. Months later, he would go on to release his debut album, Desert Highway. The cover showed him holding that same old guitar, standing under a sunset sky. And in the liner notes, he wrote one simple line: "For Mom and Dad,